Alright, so let's start with the next chapter today, C04, Kinetics. Very easy chapter. Very easy questions come from this chapter. Almost direct questions come. The numericals are very easy. There are a few formulae which you need to remember from this chapter. Okay. So when we start kinetics, if you remember, we have done thermodynamics in class 11. Okay. So thermodynamics told about the feasibility of a reaction. We have also done this in the last chapter. It told us about the feasibility of a reaction, which means whether the reaction will go from the reactants to the product side, the reaction would take place or the reaction will not take place. And according to thermodynamics, there were two terms which were discussed. One which was delta G, and for any reaction to be spontaneous, delta G was supposed to be negative, and the other one, that was delta S, which is supposed to be positive. Okay. Now, depending upon thermodynamics, there are many reactions which generally occur. In fact, all the reactions which have the value of delta G as negative, they are going to occur. Okay? But certain reactions, practically if you're thinking of, theoretically those reactions, they are taking place, but practically if you're talking of those reactions, they do not take place because the reactions are so slow that they do not reach completion in years and years together. Okay, so it was then suggested that thermodynamics alone cannot tell us about, or it cannot be the only criteria telling us about that the reaction that is going from the reactants to the products. Then there was another thing, it was suggested that reactions which practically take place in a measurable time. In a measurable time, only those reactions, they are feasible. Okay, so this measurable time which we have put over here, this was suggested by another branch of, or explained on the basis of another branch of science which was known as kinetics. Right? Now, when we are talking of thermodynamics, there are certain reactions which theoretically are taking place. For example, we say that the conversion of diamond into graphite. When we are talking of diamond into graphite, delta G, that is going to be negative for the reaction, and the reaction should take place according to thermodynamics. But the reaction is so slow that practically the reaction does not take place at all. Isn't it? Diamond never converts into graphite. Okay, so that is one reaction which is thermodynamically the reaction can take place, but according to kinetics the reaction does not take place. Okay, so when we are talking of kinetics, it is the branch of science which deals with the rate of a reaction. Branch of science which deals with the rate of a reaction. That is what we are going to study in this entire chapter, kinetics. Okay. Now, according to the kinetics, we classify the reactions into three. The first one, they are known as instantaneous or very fast reactions. Instantaneous or very fast reactions, right? In such reactions, as soon as we mix the reactants, the products would be formed, right? Generally, we say that precipitation reactions, they come under this category, and these reactions, they are said to be ionic in nature. Okay, so in this we are saying that as soon as we are reacting or we are mixing the reactants together, the reaction immediately takes place. Like for example, if we are reacting AgNO3 with NaCl. Immediately we get a white precipitate of AgCl and the reaction completes in fraction of seconds. Right? So maybe 10 raised to power minus 10 or 10 raised to power minus seconds, the reaction that is complete. Another reaction which we can talk of is the reaction between barium chloride and sulfuric acid to again give us a white precipitate of barium sulfate, and the reaction takes place as soon as we put H2SO4 in barium chloride. Okay? And then there is another reaction which is a neutralization reaction, HCl plus NaOH to give us NaCl plus water. This reaction also happens immediately. Now for such reactions, because the reaction takes place very very fast, therefore we cannot measure the rate of this reaction, or we cannot measure the kinetics of instantaneous or very fast reactions. Right? Then the second type of reactions which we have, they are very slow reactions. Very slow reactions take a lot, there are certain reactions which are going to take a lot of time for completion. Right? And practically we say that these reactions, they take years and years together. Like for example, if we are trying to react hydrogen with oxygen at room temperature, do you think this reaction will ever occur? To form water. Does this reaction occur practically? It does not. Not at room temperature. Okay. So for instigating the reaction, we have to give certain conditions from outside, like we have to use a catalyst or we have to use an electric discharge for the reaction to take place. Right? In a similar manner, if we have a log of wood, carbon, and we have kept it in a room, that room is full of oxygen, still if we are doing this reaction at room temperature, the formation of carbon dioxide, that is not going to take place. Right? So for this reaction also, we have to instigate the reaction by first giving it a little spark, and henceforth the reaction keeps on carrying on, and carbon, that log of wood, can be easily burned. But until unless that spark is given, the reaction, that is practically impossible. Okay, so these are reactions which are very very slow, and then there is another reaction which we have studied in our last chapter, rusting of iron. Okay? So rusting of iron is also a very very slow process. For these reactions also we cannot measure the kinetics. Rate of a reaction cannot be measured for very slow reactions. Then the third kind of reactions which we have, they are moderate or intermediate reactions. Moderate or intermediate reactions. Now these reactions they come in between instantaneous and very slow reactions, and generally these reactions are molecular reactions. That is, the molecules, they are going to participate in these reactions. Okay. Now moderate or intermediate reactions are those reactions which can be studied. So we can say that we can study the kinetics of these reactions, as these reactions give us ample time to study the rate of the reaction. Okay. For example, we have decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. decomposition of hydrogen peroxide to give us water plus oxygen. Then number 2, decomposition of nitrogen pentoxide to give us plus oxygen. So kinetics of such reactions can be studied. Also a reaction between NO2 and CO to give us NO plus CO2. So when we are looking at all the three kinds of reactions, we are not going to study this, or we are not going to study this reaction in our present chapter. We are only going to concentrate on moderate reactions or intermediate reactions whose kinetics or rate can be measured. Okay, so let's go on to the next topic. Next is, whenever we are going to study kinetics, there are two principal reasons why do we want to study. There are two principal reasons to the study of kinetics, right? The first reason is that we want to predict, according to the first reason, we want to predict the rate of a particular reaction. To predict the rate of a particular reaction in specified conditions, right? Like the conditions have been given to us that we are raising the temperature, we are putting a catalyst, and according to that we want to find out that how much time will it take for the reactants to be converted into products. So that is our first aim when we are going to study this chapter, and second aim is to predict the mechanism of the reaction. Mechanism of the reaction is going to hold a lot of importance, specifically when we are going to do the organic chemistry. In that, mechanism of a reaction give us a different way to the reaction, and hence it gives us different products, right? So this is what mechanism of a reaction is. Now rate of the reaction, when we are talking of or kinetics of the reaction, when we are talking of the first reason over here, its main applicability is that it will give us, like, we are producing certain amounts of products in the industry. Okay, now in order to get maximum yield in a specified time, what conditions have to be maintained, that also we can study with kinetics. So there is where this process or the branch of chemistry, which is kinetics, holds a very big importance. Okay, so in the entire thing what we have discussed now, we've been talking of rate of reaction. Let's understand what is rate of reaction. Now, rate of reaction can be studied in two manners. Like for example, if we are driving from here, okay, let's say we are driving from this place and we have traveled around 20 kilometers, and we say that we have traveled those 20 kilometers in, say, 1 hour. Okay, so if we want to know the speed of the car, then the speed of the car, that will be equal to what? 20 kilometers divided by 1 hour, right? So we are saying that the speed of the car is 20 kilometers per hour. Okay, but when the driver is driving, he is not constantly driving with the same speed. Okay, the speed might change, there might be traffic in the way, so he needs to slow down, or he's getting the road absolutely vacant, so he can just drive on a higher speed. But ultimately, when we have traveled those 20 kilometers in 1 hour, that means the average speed of the car would be what? 20 kilometers per hour, right? So in a similar manner, when we are talking of rate of reaction, we have two kinds of rate of reactions. The first one, average rate of a reaction. ठीक है, what is average rate of a reaction? It is the change of concentration of reactants or products with time. How much of reactants have been consumed in a specified given time, or how much of products are formed in a given time, that is what average rate of a reaction is. Okay, now for this, the rate that would be given as what? That would be given as delta x upon delta t, where delta x is equal to final concentration minus initial concentration divided by T2 minus T1. The final time minus the original time, right? Now rate of a reaction may also be of the second type, which is known as instantaneous rate of a reaction. What do we understand by instantaneous rate of a reaction? It means that it is measured for infinitesimally small time. Say you are saying that in this 1 hour we are measuring the speed after every 10 minutes. Okay, how much does the car travel in 10 minutes? So it is quite possible that in the first 10 minutes the speed may be different. Then the next 10 minutes the speed may be different, and if the car is stuck in some traffic, it is also possible that for 10 minutes the car is not moving at all and the speed would become equal to 0 because the distance that is equal to 0. Okay, so instantaneous rate of a reaction, this is measured at infinitesimally small time. Right? It is measured at infinitesimally a very small interval. So that is why it is known as instantaneous rate of a reaction. Now in general, when we are talking of rate of a reaction, we say that the rate can be calculated with respect to reactants as well as with respect to products. So rate with respect to reactants, that is decrease in concentration of reactants upon change in time. Decrease in concentration of reactants upon change in time. Similarly, rate of a reaction may also be put as rate that is equal to increase in concentration of products upon change in time. Okay, so this is what rate of a reaction is. Now let's consider any reaction. We are considering A to B. Rate for such a reaction would be given as minus delta concentration of A, concentration that is depicted by putting square brackets, okay, concentration upon delta T, or it is equal to delta concentration of B upon delta T. The negative sign over here is not a mathematical operator. It will only signify the decrease in concentration of the reactants. Okay, so negative sign is only signifying the decrease of concentration of the reactants, and if you want to put a positive sign over here, then positive sign over here will signify increase in concentration of the products. Now if there is a stoichiometry which is present over here, let's say we have a reaction saying 3A plus 2B to give us 3C plus D. This is the reaction. Now to express the average rate of a reaction for this, rate would be equal to minus 1 by 3. Stoichiometry we are taking as reciprocal over here. Minus 1 by 3 delta concentration of A upon delta T. So this is with respect to one reactant. But rate can also be written with respect to the other reactant. So it will be minus 1 by 2 delta concentration of B upon delta T. Then with respect to products also, rate would be equal to 1 by 3 delta concentration of C upon delta T, and it is equal to delta concentration of B upon delta T. Right? So what we can see over here is that if rate is equal to this, it is equal to this, it is equal to this, and it is equal to this. Therefore, this should be equal to this. Or in other words, all these four terms which we have written over here, they should be equal to each other. So, minus 1 by 3 delta A upon delta T is equal to minus 1 by 2 delta B upon delta T is equal to delta C upon delta T, 1 by 3 delta C upon delta T is equal to delta D upon delta T. So this is how we are going to express the rate of reaction. Is it clear? So graphically, if we want to put the same, let's draw a graph showing the progress of the reaction with time, or we can say that the change in concentration with time. So if we have the reactants, we know that the concentration of the reactants that will keep on changing with time. Okay, so the curve which we have drawn over here, this is the curve for reactants, and the concentration of the products will keep on increasing with time. So this is the products, right? So if we drawing the graph, the concentration of the reactants you can see can keep on changing or decreasing with time, and the concentration of the products that will keep on increasing with time. Okay? So this is graphical representation. Then if you're talking of units, then units you can see, if you're talking of units over here, this is moles per liter per second, because the unit for concentration that is equal to moles per liter. So moles per liter per second, or if the time is given in minutes, then it will be moles per liter per minute, right? And if it is given in hours, time is given in hours, then the unit is going to be moles per liter per hour, per day, per year. This is how you generally calculate the rate. Like if you're calculating the age of fossils, disintegration of fossils, or disintegration of a tree you're talking of, or a plant you're talking of. So the disintegration has taken a lot of years to disintegrate. Okay, so in that case, the unit will be moles per liter per year. That how much of that particular compound is disintegrating in 1 year. So that is why we are going to take per year over here. Is it clear? So these are the units. Now let's take a few examples and give the rate expression for those. So expression of rate for certain reactions. expression of rate. Let's consider a reaction CO plus NO2 to give CO2 plus NO. Right? So if we want to write the rate for this, rate that will be equal to what? Minus delta concentration of Cu upon delta T, right? Or it can also be written as minus delta concentration of NO2 upon delta T, and it can also be written as delta concentration of CO2 upon delta T, or it can also be written as delta concentration of NO upon delta T, right? So this is how you can write down the expression. Let's take another reaction. Our reaction is 2H2O2 to give 2H2O plus O2. Decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. So if you want to write the rate can be expressed as minus 1/2 delta concentration of H2O2 upon delta T. It can also be written as 1/2 concentration of H2O upon delta T. ठीक है? It can also be written as 1/2, delta O2 upon delta T. ठीक है? Now we have already discussed that all of these they are going to be same. That is, this is going to be equal to this, is going to be equal to this, and this is going to be equal to this. Similarly, this is going to be equal to this is going to be equal to this. So all equations they are going to be equal to each other. Clear? So let's just do a question from this section. The question is decomposition of N2O5 by the equation N2O5 to give 2NO2 plus half O2. This is the equation which is given to us. If during a certain time interval the rate of decomposition of N2O5 is 1.8 into 10 raised to power minus 3 moles per liter per minute, right? So rate of decomposition has been given to us, rate that is equal to 1.8 into 10 raised to power minus 3 moles per liter per minute. Per liter per minute. What will be the rates of formation of NO2 and O2 during the same interval? Now you see over here that rate is given to us as this, okay, and the equation is N2O5 to give us 2NO2 plus half of O2. Now when we writing the rate of this reaction should be equal to minus delta concentration of N2O5 upon delta T, ठीक है, and this should be equal to 1/2 delta concentration of NO2 upon delta T, ठीक है, and this should be equal to 2 into delta concentration of O2 upon delta T, right? This has been given to us in the question. So now we have to equate this with both of them separately. Let's go on to the first part over here. The rate that is given to us as what? 1.8 into 10 raised to power minus 3. ठीक है? That is equal to 1/2 delta concentration of NO2 upon delta T. ठीक है? So 2 will go here. The formation of rate of formation of NO2 that will be equal to that will be equal to 3.6 into 10 raised to power minus 3. In a similar manner, let's equate this now. So we have rate is equal to 2 into delta O2 upon delta T. ठीक है? So what is the rate over here? 1.8 into upon delta T. ठीक है? So this will become equal to 0.9 into 10 raised to power minus 3, that is the rate of formation of oxygen. So this is how you're supposed to do questions like this. So over here in this entire section we are discussing the average rate of a reaction. Now let's discuss the instantaneous rate of a reaction. Instantaneous rate of a reaction. Now when we are talking of instantaneous rate of a reaction, it is the change in any concentration of reactants or products in infinitesimally small time. So average ko, if we are limiting it, then we are getting the differential equation of rate of a reaction, which is given as minus d into concentration of A upon dt. Okay, so we are differentiating the equation. So if we have an equation AA plus BB to give us CC plus DD, then the rate over here, that will be given as minus 1 upon A D into concentration of A upon dt is equal to minus 1 upon B D into concentration of B upon dt is equal to 1 upon C D into concentration of C upon dt and is equal to 1 upon D into concentration of D upon dt. So this is the rate of the reaction. Now when we are going to experimentally determine the instantaneous rate of a reaction, we can do so by plotting a graph. Right? Now in order to plot a graph, what we have to do is we have to calculate the concentration at very small time. To do this, what we do, that we take a small amount of reactants, okay, and we start reacting them. After a certain interval of time, say you want to calculate the rate of a reaction after 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes, the reaction mixture which is left with us, that is frozen to 0 degrees Celsius. So when we decrease the temperature to 0 degrees Celsius, the reaction that is going to stop. At that particular point, you can calculate the concentration of the reactants with some appropriate whatever method you want to use, and hence we plot a graph, that is the graph between concentration and time for the reactants. Okay, and we know that the graph for the reactants should come like this. Right? Now in order to calculate the rate of a reaction, a tangent is drawn at that particular time where the rate of the reaction has to be calculated. Okay, so let's say that this is delta T or dt you can take as, this is dt, and over here this point is, say, dx. Right? Now when we are talking of the slope, then instantaneous rate of a reaction, that is equal to the slope. Okay, and the slope over here, that will be given as what? It will be given as delta x dx upon dt. dx upon dt. So this is dx is this and dt is this. That is the intercept along the y-axis upon intercept along the x-axis. Okay? So the instantaneous rate of a reaction can be measured as dx upon dt. Right? Then we have another very important a term which you must not have heard of before, that is reaction lifetime. What is reaction lifetime? Reaction lifetime is the time when 98% of the reaction is complete. 98% of the reaction is complete. That is reaction lifetime. Okay? Now, shorter the lifetime, faster is going to be the reaction. Okay? Because less time would be needed for 98% completion of the reaction. So we say that shorter the lifetime, faster is going to be the reaction. Right? Now, after doing the rate of a reaction, we come to another very important terminology, which is law of mass action. Law of mass action. What does this law state? According to this law, the rate of a reaction at a given temperature and at a particular instant is directly proportional to the product of active masses of the reactants at that instant raised to the power which are numerically equal to the numbers of their respective molecules in the stoichiometric equations. Respective molecules in the stoichiometric equations. Okay? Now, active mass is what? Active mass is molar concentration of the substance. That is what active mass is. Or molar concentration means number of moles of substance upon volume in liters. Okay, that is what active mass of a substance is. Now, when we are talking of law of mass action, if suppose we have, let's say we have a reaction A plus BB to give us products. This is our reaction. Then according to law of mass action, rate that is going to be directly proportional to concentration of A raised to power in stoichiometry. That is what the definition is saying, into B raised to power B. Right? Or we can say that rate is equal to K into concentration of A raised to power A, concentration of B raised to power B. Now in this expression, as you can see, we are not considering the products at all. We are only concentrating on the concentration of the reactants. The K which we put over here that is the rate constant. Okay. Now if we say that concentration of A, that is equal to 1 molar or 1 moles per liter, right? And concentration of B, that is also equal to 1 mole per liter. Then this expression over here will become rate is equal to K, because we are taking the concentration of A as unity, we are taking the concentration of B also as unity, so rate that becomes equal to K. Now how can you define rate constant then? We can say that rate constant K is equal to the rate of a reaction at unit concentration. At unit concentration. Right? The value of rate constant will depend upon three things. Every reaction has a different value of rate constant. Okay, so the value of rate constant is going to depend upon three things. Number one, it will depend upon nature or concentration of the reactants. Right? Number two, it will depend upon temperature. And number three, it will depend upon catalyst. So all these three we will do in detail in the coming sections. For now you only have to know about these three things. Then what is the unit of K? We say that the units of K is different for different reactions. Every reaction which we are going to consider, that will have a different unit of K. Now the unit of K, that depends upon, again this we will do in the other section, it will depend upon order of the reaction. Order of the reaction is basically an experimental determined value, and we will do this also in detail in the coming sections. But you remember that unit of K, that will depend upon order of the reaction. If the order of the reaction, say that it is equal to N, right? Then the unit that will be given as what? Liters per mole raised to power 1 minus n, sorry, n minus 1 per second. Liters per mole n minus raised to power n minus 1 per second. This is going to be the units of rate constant. Okay. So today we will do only till here.